A great wrestling promo has the ability to entertain, inspire, and importantly, convince punters to fork over their hard-earned cash to see an event or match. A bad wrestling promo, on the other hand, can make you want to crawl inside yourself and stay there forever, lest you perish due to the outright awkwardness it makes you feel. There have been some pretty cringy promos over the years, whether due to an uneasy execution, errant slip of the tongue, or a premise that beggars belief. Want proof? Get ready to crawl inside yourself, dear viewer. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 cringiest pro wrestling promos ever. Join us. Number 10, The Big Dog and the Beanstalk. Amazing to think now, considering how his WWE career has turned out and the level he's currently operating on, but there was a time when a substantial percentage of wrestling fans would be more than happy if Roman Reigns was given a lifetime ban from speaking on the mic. WWE tried and failed in their attempts to make the Big Dog the new John Cena, and then tried and failed again a couple of more times just to be absolutely sure he wouldn't get over as the company's #1 babyface. Just days after another notoriously awful promo, which we will get to later, Reigns regaled Big Show with the tale of Jack and the Beanstalk, magic beans and all, replacing Jack's name with his own. Excruciating in content and delivery, seeing Roman struggle out there was like watching a career suffer a slow and painful death before your very eyes. Far from being a badass renegade, the former Shield member was literally reciting fairy tales and hoping that the audience would do anything other than heckle him. Apologies for speaking carny, but this was the absolute shiz-its, and on this evidence, Reigns deserved his reception at the Royal Rumble 2 weeks later. Number 9, Wrong Line, brother. For all his many faults, it cannot be denied that Hulk Hogan in his prime was a master of the microphone whose overflowing charisma meant that just about everything he said was compelling, even if beneath the surface, much of it was absolute nonsense. The Hulkster's gift of the gab has failed him on occasion, however, including an infamous segment during his 2003 feud with Mr. McMahon. Whilst verbally going toe-to-toe with the WWE chairman, Hogan got all flustered and flubbed his lines 4 times. In essence, he was supposed to say that if Vince thought he was successful just because he was the right guy in the right place at the right time, then he was a delusional bastard. However, Hulk first said he was the right guy at the right place at the wrong time before calling himself the right gay at the right place at the right time, and then erroneously claimed that he had wrestled McMahon at No Way Out when it was actually The Rock who he called A-Rock. This actually never made it to air properly since SmackDown was a taped show, but some absolute legend hacked the satellite feed, then uploaded it for us all to enjoy and chuckle at. Number 8, Good Lucha Things. Former WWE star Kalisto is a spectacular performer in many ways. He has an eye-catching mask and costume collection, can perform incredible feats inside the ring, and was absolute dynamite on the stick. Actually, that last part isn't true. Kalisto was not dynamite on the stick. In fact, he usually looked at the microphone absolutely terrified as if it were a stick of dynamite. On one of the rare occasions he was permitted to talk, the luchador uttered 3 words that ensure he will now live in infamy as a meme. Asked how he felt about being drafted to SmackDown in the 2016 draft, the former United States champion vowed to shock the world and take on Baron Corbin before losing his train of thought and ending the interview by saying he would make a good lucha thing. Instantly realizing that he just pooped the bed and this was live and not a pre-tape, you can hear the mortified high flyer say, "God damn it," as he luches himself out of the camera's view. That fancy mask couldn't quite hide the look of sheer embarrassment. Number 7, Titus Word Slide. Titus O'Neil may have gifted us one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments of all time with his infamous entrance at the Greatest Royal Rumble, but it was a lot less fun watching him trip over his feet, metaphorically speaking, while cutting a promo on his former primetime player's partner, Darren Young. Sent out to drown in front of a feverish Brooklyn crowd on the August 22nd, 2016 episode of Raw, Titus tried and failed miserably to actually, scrap that. I'm not entirely sure what he was trying to do out there, because for the better part of 5 agonizing minutes, O'Neil mixed up phrases, said the wrong words, left thoughts unfinished, and just generally baffled an audience that had no clue what he was talking about. Bob Backlund, Titus's words, not mine, finally came out to end the torture, but really, the WWE Hall of Famer should have been sent to the ring a good 3 minutes earlier if damage limitation was to be achieved. O'Neil is a great guy and is actually an eloquent public speaker, but on this night at the Barclays Center, I'm sure he would have taken flying headfirst under the ring over delivering this interminable spiel. Number 6, half the brain. Sid Vicious gets his share of flack from certain fans for a variety of reasons. And while yes, he would flake out as soon as softball season started and wasn't exactly the man you would watch if you wanted to see a great match, there is no doubt that the master and ruler of the world had it and was a big star during his heyday. Sid has a presence and natural charisma, but he wasn't necessarily a wordsmith, and his brain could sometimes let him down with the lights on bright. Well, his half a brain anyway, because that's all Vicious, in his own bungled words, had in his head. Addressing Kevin Nash on the November 15th, 1999 episode of WCW Nitro, Sid informed Big Sexy that you are only half the man that I am, and that I only have half the brain that you do. Oh, Sydney. Nash was the last person he should have done this in front of, with the situation made even worse by his ball-busting buddy Scott Hall being in the ring with him. Also making it worse was Sid then complaining about Kev continually trying to make him look like a jackass. Did that to yourself, mate. Number 5, the genesis of McGillicutty. The original reality show format for NXT, take 10 supposed rookies, partner them with their WWE star pros, and then have them compete in challenges and matches with a weekly elimination, felt at times like it was designed to humiliate the contestants. Poor Michael McGillicutty, the future Curtis Axel of course, didn't need any assistance in making himself look like a prat when he was handed a live mic following Caval's Season 2 triumph. Now, to be fair to Mr. McGillicutty, you can see a slither of a coherent promo in there, but his delivery is so confused and he obviously gets his wires crossed when trying to hit the bullet points. The third-generation performer perhaps wasn't expecting to be asked his thoughts after losing a competition he believed he would win, but that doesn't excuse the short but certainly not sweet would-be concession speech that he gave. Despite its brevity, it still contained several awkward pauses as he tried to get to the moment from this moment on, from now, this'll be the moment. Just get to the moment, Michael, please! Immediately buried by Michael Cole on commentary, McGillicutty had to contemplate his genesis on the long and lonely walk backstage, where I'm sure his co-workers were struggling to contain their sniggers. Number 4, an honest Miz take. Nowadays, if you threw the Miz out on live television on zero notice with no notes and asked him to cut a promo on why he, doesn't like mushroom-flavored soup, I guarantee the A-lister would knock it out of the park. 2 decades of sports entertainment experience and a natural confidence have helped mold the 2-time WWE champion into one of the most dependable talkers in the business. However, it wasn't always this way. Back in 2006, poor Mike Mizanin was fed to the wolves on WWE's flagship show as the host of that year's Diva Search. In his first appearance on Raw, the tough enough runner-up's brain seemed to melt when it came time to explain the rules of the contest and voting system to the audience at home. Miz later recalled how a cold sweat came over his entire body as his mind went blank and he forgot everything he was supposed to say. He sweated so much that the telephone number he had written on his wrist rubbed off, and he made such a hash of trying to salvage the segment that he was sure that he was going to get fired when he got back to Gorilla. Fortunately, he was spared a pink slip and ended up marrying Diva Search entrant Maurice Mind, so don't feel too bad for him. Number 3, Eli Cottonwoods Moustache Madness. Back to the original incarnation of NXT now, and another greenhorn not named Michael McGillicutty having an absolute mare during Season 2. For a segment called Talk the Talk, the contestants were given a one-word topic, 10 seconds of thinking time, and then asked to wax lyrical about it for half a minute. that. Percy Watson did just fine with glasses, and Cavall gave a good account of himself with chicken, but then up stepped the massive Eli Cottonwood. When a promo's opening line is, "What is a moustache?" you know you are in for a hell of a ride, and the 7-footer did not disappoint. After informing the fans, who must have been on the edge of their seats, that it was the hair that formed on the upper lip, Eli then seemingly misremembered his own face and said that he himself didn't have one. He then said that none of the other NXT hopefuls had one, but that he had the best one, completely contradicting his previous incorrect point. The buzzer could not come soon enough, while Cottonwood's pro John Morrison tried to shield himself from the second-hand shame by hiding behind his clipboard. Number 2, suffering succotash. When you look at Roman Reigns today, you see an ultra-confident performer who is 100% sure of who and what he is. When he's talking, which these days he does a lot more than actual wrestling, the tribal chief grabs the attention of a WWE universe that has no choice but to acknowledge him. As we've already seen on our countdown, Roman wasn't always so commanding on the microphone, and a lot of his issues had to do with WWE's clunky verbiage. And is there anything clunkier than, "You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son"? A line Reigns was actually scripted to say to Seth Rollins. This one atrocious, toe-curling piece of dialogue was essentially emblematic of the company's issues when it came to their presentation of their supposed conquering babyface hero. After admitting that it was not easy to say, Roman's then turned the cringe factor up to 11 by looking into the camera and winking. The head of the table is obviously awesome and is currently at the top of his game, but when you revisit moments like his Sylvester the Cat impersonation, it really is no surprise that fans pushed back against him so vehemently. Number 1, Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Yep. Imagine a professional wrestler with the intensity of Stone Cold Steve Austin, the charisma of The Rock, and the larger-than-life presence of superstar Billy Graham. Well, dear viewer, imagine no more, because he's real and his name is Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. With a place guaranteed on the Mount Rushmore of terrible wrestling promos, the IPW Jobber's response to a match with another no-hoper called Motley Cruz is so bad, it's actually brilliant. Starting off with the commanding cry of, "Yep," Farmer follows it up by letting everyone know that he don't like it when things aren't going my way, and lambasting Cruz for turning the tables on him in a wrong way. And it just gets better from there, with Jumpin' Jeff scolding his foe for backstabbing him one way or another as he tries in vain to look angry before signing off with the immortal line of, "This time I am going full force." Making the whole thing even funnier is the recorded earlier sign at the bottom of the screen. They did 20 takes and that was the best one. Yep.